Welcome back to 32 Teams, the real fantasy football show on chataboutit.com. Listen live, download the podcast, and win your league. We were talking about fantasy football in June with the king of the clipboard right there. You got to win your league. You got to listen to us to succeed. Heath Keltz here. Call 877-242-8212. We have had some homerness with the Jets tonight. We had some Jets homerness coming on. But, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to talk about those beautiful, wonderful water mammals that are the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah,
Miami has Dolphins, the greatest
I'm from Miami, and I follow the Dolphins, obviously. It's tough this year with the Dolphins running back situation, and I wish I had more positive things to say, but there's, Ronnie Brown, he had a Lisfranc fracture in his right foot to end the season in Week 10. Still, he finishes as a 32 running back, the 32nd running back, and he was productive before the injury. The guy who had him also had Reggie Bush in one of my leagues, and he was tearing people up like the first 6-7 weeks, and then all of a sudden those guys tailed off, and then he kind of went through a lull, and but he wound up finishing second because of our guy from Kansas City we were just talking about. But he's in the last year. Ronnie Brown is in the last year of his contract, and he hasn't signed his tender offer yet. And this is a problem because he wants a long-term commitment from the team, but the team is like, you've had season-ending surgeries 2 out of the last 3 years. We want to know if you can be healthy for us. Now the guy runs the Wildcat for you, and he's really good at it. So is Ricky. Ricky filled in very well last year, kind of turned back the clock, and had his best year. Since he rushed for over 1,000 yards and finished as the number 7 fantasy running back. Clearly his difficulties and motivations about playing football have changed. And now people are happy about wearing their old Ricky Williams jerseys if they didn't burn them and still have them. And he has the special on ESPN. And so now they can yell "Run, Ricky, run" on Sunday afternoons and feel good about it. But, the question is now, he's going to report to camp, Ronnie Brown is, and what's he going to look like? Yeah. And what if one of these guys goes down, this is a real problem for the Miami Dolphins. Now, they have some guys on the roster who could fill in, possibly, but they're not Ronnie Brown, and they're not Ricky Williams. It's Lex Hilliard, who had some limited spot duty last year and looked pretty good. Patrick Cobbs is a guy to keep an eye on, though. Patrick Cobbs, who he went down in the beginning of the season last year, and he's like this. He's like a five-tool player. He's like Mr. Versatility. He plays on special teams. He plays in run packages. He plays on goal line packages. He's scored long touchdowns for them in the Wildcat. And so they really like him. They're very happy for him to come back. Another guy in camp will be Corey Sheets, who was brought in last year when Cobbs went down. He may not make the roster, but we'll see about the injury situation with Ronnie Brown. They play 5 of their last 8 games at home, which is a good thing. Yep. And here's the fantasy playoffs. I'm going to do it again because it's such a good fantasy playoff. They play at the Jets. They're always going to get up for the Jets game. I don't care where that game is, and I don't care what the records are. They always do. And we got to go that game. Yeah, you and I, we got to go that game. And then they host Buffalo and Detroit.
Come on, bing, 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 bing.
It should be like a pachinko machine. It just should be scoring. If they're healthy by then, that's the problem.
Right. So you're looking in your magic crystal ball, the ball that you created because you love the Dolphins, and you're still leery. You're very leery.
I am, because Ronnie Brown and Ricky Williams, I have them ranked next to each other as a 23 and 24 running backs. It's going to cost you either a 4th or a 5th rounder to get Ronnie and probably a 5th rounder to get Ricky. Ricky might go up a bit if he looks good in the preseason, which he's going to.
Right. All right, moving on to a team that really doesn't have a question mark at the running back position, but behind the scenes, there's always something going on with the Minnesota Vikings.
If you have a top 2 pick in your draft, Adrian Peterson is going to be one of those picks, and he should be. He doubled his receptions total last year, which makes him excellent in a PPR format as well as a standard scoring format. It makes Chester Taylor expendable because he was able to do that. He's the clear starter, and he's finished it as a top 5 fantasy back the past 2 seasons, not the past 4. If he finished as a top 5 fantasy back the past 4 seasons, I'd say be wary of that, because no back has ever gone more than 4 years in a row as a top 5 back.
Right.
this fumbling problem is a concern. He had 6 fumbles last year, and he had a couple of very big fumbles. I know there was one very big one in the NFC Championship game that cost them dearly, and which made me very happy as a Saints fan as well. But he scores enough touchdowns, though, that it makes those fumbles kind of go away a little bit.
And you know what? Google it, Google free. He's not Wendell Tyler. Okay? Like, he has a fumbling problem, but it's not like Tiki Barber where they just took it away from me.
Or Sammy Smith.
Had to go to a shrink and really learn how to not. I think part of it is his physical running style. He just forgets that he has the ball in his arm.
Yeah, I agree. And remember they were talking about when they first